Hi there, my name is Lydia Martinez. I am the founder and owner of Elle Marketing and Events, and I am here today with my friend and client, Sylvia, with USimplySeason. Hi, Sylvia. How are you
Hi,
doing?
good. How are you doing, Lydia?
Excellent. I'm doing so
Great.
great. It's cold. We're both based here in Utah, and it is cold here today, but
Yes.
we're so excited to be chatting. So, Sylvia, tell me a little bit about yourself and your company, USimplySeason.
Okay, so I'm originally actually from Kenya, Africa. So I was born and raised in Nairobi. I basically call myself a mama's girl. mainly raised by mainly raised by my mom, my cousins, my aunts. So they've played a very big role in my life. I'm the eldest of four children. So I came to the United States when I was 19, about a little over 20 years ago. So I
Yeah,
came to go to school here, did my engineering degree, and then, followed the usual path, started working for corporate America and stuff
yeah,
like that. But within myself, my soul, I've always been an entrepreneur, coming from Kenya, from Africa, from a third world country, developing country. You always have these desires and dreams, of owning your own business. When I was little, I
yeah,
always wanted to own my own little, I thought I'd always have my own little truck. I'd buy like a little lorry, and I'll go to the farm and buy all the vegetables and go sell it to
yeah.
all the vendors and everything like that. So, a little girl, you never know about it.
Yeah.
so,
Well,
so
and
when I
I relate to that because I started my first business when I was 8 years old. It was tree climbing lessons that I
oh
sold to
my
the local neighborhood kids, and I also sold special rocks that I found in my backyard and polished up. So those were my
wow.
first two businesses that I started when I was about 8 years old, and I really understand like that entrepreneurial bug bites young.
I know. And I think it's something that it just doesn't come easy. It's because, to be an entrepreneur, you have to be someone who can, uh, sorry about that. Someone who is willing to take risks. Because to run a business, have even the courage to put yourself out there, it takes a lot of risk and a lot of courage. I'll be honest, I am more of an introvert, and I've become more of an extrovert because I've learned that, to be able to for people to know what you're doing, you have to put yourself out there. It's not
Yeah.
the easiest thing, it's the most uncomfortable thing ever,
It's
but
so
it just
funny. I was literally talking with my team about this exact same thing today, that I am also an introvert. It is very hard for me to put myself out there, but also very worth it and very necessary when
it's
you're an entrepreneur.
It's amazing you say that because you don't come out that way. You totally come out like, and you're very confident, which is, I love about you. It's
Oh,
just
thank
like
you.
you just go and you just get it done, and you're just like a non-nonsense girl. And I'm like, ooh, I better get my ass together because,
Oh, we all hide those voices in our
I
head,
know
don't
you
we?
have you have to. Sometimes you always have to say, critical
Mhm.
Sylvia, step aside because I gotta get something done here.
Yeah.
Because it gets to that, you know, the last minute. But yeah, so I came, went to school, worked for corporate America, and then about I'd say 7, 8 years ago. Actually, I started my first business when I came to the States was actually making my own beauty line, skincare and soap and everything. And let me tell you, if you've been in the beauty industry, that is a hard industry.
Yes.
I mean, I tell you to break it to, it may be easy to make those little, like the lotions and everything, but try to sell it. Oh my gosh, it is
So
just
hard.
it is hard. And I think it's because anybody can do it. So I think the challenge becomes is really how do you communicate out to your audience and how do you get in front of everyone. But I'm so grateful for that failure in my life because that failure is what helped me with my current business, which is I sell spices and seasonings and sauces and stuff like that. And how I started was about 7, 8 years ago. So I was working for corporate America, and I didn't see a path. a growth path within the company. And also the company itself was going through some difficult times. I don't know if you've noticed lately, even big companies, the competition has gotten so fierce because there's a lot more people who are a lot more creative, going out there and doing their things and really challenging these companies, to try and do a little bit better. And
there's a lot of disruption going on in a lot of industries.
Yes. And because they're so used to the status quo and maybe their systems and everything, it's really hard for them to be flexible enough to change quickly and as fast. And like the little guy, is like, oh, I just thought of an idea. They just go and just work on it and just get it going the best way they can and improve on it. So basically, what I did, I started making spices actually. So I tested it out on my husband. So he's from here. So he's a meat and potato kind of guy.
Yeah.
So not really into spices. And I love, everything to me has to have a taste, aroma, or something, in it. I can't just have bland food. So I started making that, and I started, improving our improving our meals also. And because also in my family, my my mother and my sister, they have diabetes and MS. So it made me a little bit more conscious about what I put in my body, how I eat, but also what's in my food and how. But the thing is, a lot of the healthy foods, if you eat them just the way they are, doesn't have that flavor. So you want to be tempted into eating healthy. And that's how I came up with a lot of our spices. So a lot of our spices are, a lot of them do not have salt or sugar or all these additions. They're mainly the actual spice itself or the herb. And then if you want to add that, we do provide recommendations on how you can do that if that's something you want to do. But we've noticed a lot of people who actually buy our items are either on some kind of diet or they're trying to improve their diets, and actually giving them that extra step. When you're involved in your own cooking, it brings something different into it. So it's not totally, you're not buying a total processed item. You're buying something that it still has some of those natural elements in it. So that's how I started.
And I love that. I also love, when you and I were first talking about your business, part of your story is bringing to the forefront all these flavors that you grew up with and you've known but aren't well known. And so you have spice blends and ingredients that are just starting to trend here in the United States. You're ahead of the curve there, but people here that are from a more traditional background have never heard of things like sumac or, they've never heard of za'atar, or there's these different spice blends that are like mind blown. What is this magic thing?
Yes, and it brings out a lot of your creativity. I learn a lot from my customers actually. When I started bringing these ingredients and everything, actually I was also targeting a lot of like people like me, coming from being an immigrant, coming from a different country. You come and there isn't a lot of those items in just the normal grocery store. So you always had to look for a specialty store. And when I came, the internet wasn't even huge. And I'm not going to even lie. I'm going to say when I came, I did not know how to type. I learned it. When someone was like, do you know a computer? I was like, what is that? They're like, and then I was like, how do you turn that thing on? When I came. So it's amazing how much you learn, how technology has changed, and it's just being open to it that I think is it's a big thing. If you're open to something, then it just comes and you learn and then you figure out how to use it. But so basically when I started, a lot of those things were not they were not easily available. So one thing I had to learn was how to tell the spice story or the herb story, or being able to say, okay, how do you use it? And not only limit to how you use it, is how can you incorporate it to your everyday meals? Like my husband, like he loves mac and cheese, but he'll sprinkle on like some harissa on it, or something to just give it that extra And sometimes he'll take his mayo. He loves mayo. He'll just whip up mayo and mix it with some of the seasonings just to give it that extra extra flavor and that extra oomph, so he can use it for his sandwiches or something. So it's kind of like his sandwich kind of changes. So it's not the same sandwich every day. So
Yeah.
you kind of just tweak a little bit of the
I love
ingredients.
that.
So
Well, and I love that education piece as well.
yeah.
I always talk about marketing as storytelling. And one of the reasons I love working with food producers is the stories around food are always just incredible. So when you and I met, we were introduced by one of my other clients, Tim
Yes.
Izzard Inc., another incredible company.
Awesome
and
guy.
yeah,
Awesome guy.
he's amazing. And you essentially signed up for a marketing consulting package where we were going to pick apart your marketing, talk about your new direction. You were, until very recently, still doing your corporate job on top of
Yep.
this very full-time business.
Yes.
And what did you say to me in our very, very first meeting? I was like, they're prepared to talk about marketing, and you threw a curveball into our conversation.
Yes. So I had just been accepted into this program by Walmart. So it was an open call program where they actually look for manufacturers within the United States and, to try and work. So I had just...
It was even before that, Sylvia.
It was before that? Oh, it was before that. What did I say?
So
what did you say? You'll have to remind me.
When you and I first met, the very first thing you said to me was, I know that you transitioned from your corporate job.
Yes.
How did you have the courage to do that?
Yes. I totally forgot about that. That's true, because I remember when Tim introduced us, and I think when you introduced yourself, you had mentioned that, and that piece resonated with me a lot because it's something that I had been thinking about for the past couple of years. I remember the company I was working for got bought out by a larger company, and then they moved my job to a different state, 2 time zones away.
Yeah.
So I wasn't ready. The business wasn't at a point where I could fully dedicate to it, but because I was still growing it, and I couldn't totally focus on that. And I had to make that difficult choice, do I stay or do I move on? So I moved on, and then I came back, and then about the beginning of this year, I moved back. I just said, I just have to find a way of doing that. And I remember when Tim introduced you to me, and then you told me your story, I was like, she's a godsend. I was like, God sent me an angel to try and walk me through this process, to show me what I need to do, because I was very fearful. I was very confused. So, I mean, my life had been tumultuous, but that, sometimes when everything just kind of picks out and you're like, I am just going to lose it. So I remember when I asked you that, and there was just something about you that we just connected, and I was ready. And I always tell people, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's what happened. And
it really was this great kismet moment. And so we were talking in this first consulting session and really talking about how to be bold and how to have courage, and how to have courage when you are really still afraid.
Yeah.
So my story, I literally walked away from my corporate job in less than 24 hours notice. I made the decision almost overnight. And I'd been doing some consulting on the side. I wasn't walking into nothing, but I literally flipped that switch overnight. And part of it was because I had already said, I don't want to work retail during the holiday season anymore. I was working for a big retailer, a big grocery store, doing their marketing. And then at the very end of September, right before the holiday season hits, I had the opportunity to move on. And I realized that I could either take it, be bold and take it, or be fearful and not get another opportunity.
But there's one thing you had actually taught me. One thing that sometimes it's very subtle, but people don't get, is you put the intention out there in the universe.
Yes.
People don't realize that is so powerful. Your words your feelings, your thoughts are very powerful. I remember when you said, you've got to make a decision. You can think about it all you want.
Yeah.
No,
Think about it, make lists. Right.
but the minute you make a decision, the minute you make that resolve, things start happening. And you have to be ready for it.
Yep.
You have to be ready for it because it's kind of like almost like a switch.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you get on that bus and you stay on it, or if you jump out, it's gonna hurt. So
Yeah.
you better be prepared for whatever roller.
We talked a lot. Oh, and Sylvia, you just froze up a little bit. Hopefully we'll get her back. But as we're waiting for her, we talked a lot. There you are. We talked a lot about putting your hands out there, like opening your hands and putting your whole heart out there and showing that you're ready to receive.
Exactly.
So I challenged you that day.
I know. Good.
I said, Sylvia, here is your homework, because I'm a big believer in giving assignments at the end of a consulting or coaching call. I said, here's your homework. You are going to pick a date and you're going to go tell 2 people. It is not enough for you to pick a date in your brain.
Yes.
We talked about write it down. We talked about you actually telling 2 people that we're going to help hold you accountable. And you left, and that night you told 2 people.
Yes. One was my mother.
Because we all know moms hold us accountable.
Oh, we shock them to death, and they're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
That too. But you tell your mom, you know that you mean business. And then you told another very trusted advisor. And then from there, what happened the next day?
The next day, literally hours, I got the Walmart call, which is so hard to get. It is so hard to get because I had tried a year before.
Yeah.
Nothing. This time, I didn't even think it was even gonna, I had forgotten about it. Honestly, I'd totally forgotten about it. But it's the minute I started putting, it's almost like I switched that, as you said, it's a switch, you flip that switch and it just took off. And I was like, wow.
This all happened less than 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
And now the most exciting thing for me is that Sylvia has left her corporate job. She is working full-time in her own business, and things are growing and progressing leaps and bounds. Doors have opened. She's finding herself kind of busier than ever. Is that right?
Yes. Way, way too busy. Busier than even when I used to work my corporate job. Because there's a few times I was like, how do I do both of this? But, it's really so intention and really focusing on something that you care about is very important, I think, and for the growth to come and for a lot of things to happen, you have to put effort in it. And it's just not any effort. It is, your heart, it's your energy, it's everything goes in it. And it may take some time, but the rewards do come, so.
And so from them, we just got a question. What is the name of your business? It's USimplySeason. And we'll be sure that we put the website up at the very end. So it's the letter U and then SimplySeason. Thanks so much, Pamela, for asking that question. And so one of the things that has impressed me is, like, we dove straight into, instead of working on your marketing right off the bat, we drove straight into your Walmart pitch.
Yeah.
Like, dove in and brought it together and made it happen. We had an amazing, we got amazing feedback from Walmart when you were talking with them, and you did such a phenomenal job. It was thrilling for me to have the privilege to be along on that ride, to see that amazing transition in such a short amount of time. I was really, really proud of you and really honored to be a part of that.
And thank you. Thank you so much. Couldn't do it without you. I could not do it without you. It seems like whenever certain things that are important that come into your life, the universe brings the right people in there, the right people at the right time with the information and with the skills that you need, which to me just was a huge testament to like what is possible, as long as you truly are authentically putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to do your best and just let it go.
Yeah. And I think we can wrap up with that. Gabby, I'm going to have you
Yeah.
put that website back up on the screen a little bit longer so that people can really see that. So thank you so much, Sylvia, for joining me today.
Thank you.
I've been delighted to get to know you. I feel like we've kind of known each other for much longer than the actual amount of time. But it's been delightful to be working with you. I'm looking forward to a long, long relationship and wishing you all the success in your business.
Thank you. And thank you so much for all you do for me. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.